There's a moment, frozen in time, at Forest County Agricultural High, where a homecoming queen gave away her crown. And in doing so, she became unforgettable. The antique mirror reflected more than just Britney's reflection. It held the ghost of her mother's smile, the echo of a promise whispered in the quiet hours before dawn. The shimmering blue dress, her mother's last gift, felt heavy, a beautiful burden. Tonight was homecoming at Forest County Agricultural High, but the usual teenage excitement felt muted, replaced by a hollow ache. Forest County Agricultural High throbbed with the usual pre-homecoming frenzy. Streamers twisted in the artificial breeze of industrial fans. The scent of hairspray and cheap cologne mingled with the earthy aroma of the nearby fields. It was a night for crowns and dreams, for the fleeting glory of being queen. Among the hopefuls was Nyla Covington. She was known for her kindness, a quiet grace that drew people to her. But beneath the surface, there were whispers, hints of something more, a secret sadness she carefully guarded. And then there was Britney Walters. She moved with a forced composure, a fragile strength masking the raw grief that clung to her like a second skin. She wasn't supposed to be here, not tonight. But promises, especially those made to the dying, hold a power stronger than sorrow. A single, shared look connected Britney to her father, standing rigidly at her side. A promise, a vow. Nyla's home wasn't a grand, sprawling farmhouse like some of her classmates. It was a modest, two-story house nestled on the edge of town, where the scent of pine trees mingled with the faintest whiff of the nearby paper mill. Her father, a quiet man with calloused hands and a gentle heart, worked the night shift there. Her mother, a nurse at the county hospital, was the embodiment of compassion, her days filled with tending to the sick and injured. "Kindness isn't a weakness, Nyla," her mother would often say, her voice soft but firm. "It's the strongest force there is." This mantra was woven into the fabric of Nyla's upbringing, reinforced by countless small acts of generosity. Her mother volunteering at the local soup kitchen, her father fixing neighbors' broken fences, the family taking in stray animals. One memory in particular stood out. Nyla, at the tender age of 8, had found a wounded bird in their backyard, its wing twisted at an unnatural angle. She'd cradled it gently, tears streaming down her face, convinced it was going to die. Her grandmother, a woman who seemed to possess an ancient wisdom, had shown her how to splint the wing with twigs and cloth. "Even the smallest creatures deserve our compassion, child," she'd said, her voice a low hum. "Every life has value." The bird miraculously recovered. That incident cemented a profound empathy within Nyla, a deep-seated understanding of the fragility of life. But Nyla's life wasn't without its shadows. 2 years ago, her best friend, Sarah, had moved away unexpectedly. The departure left a gaping hole in Nyla's world, a silence that echoed in the hallways of the school and the familiar paths they used to walk. Sarah had been the one who understood Nyla's quiet nature, the one who saw past her shyness to the vibrant spirit within. The letters they exchanged became less frequent, the phone calls shorter, the bond slowly fraying under the weight of distance. This loss had taught Nyla the painful lesson of impermanence, the realization that even the closest connections could be severed. It made her cling to the present, to the people she loved, with a fierce protectiveness. It also fueled a subtle self-doubt. Was she interesting enough? Was she worthy of the friendships she had? Was she worthy of being queen? Beyond the glitter and glamour of homecoming, Nyla harbored a secret dream: to become a veterinarian. She spent hours poring over books about animals, fascinated by their biology, their behavior, their resilience. The local vet, Dr. Evans, a kind, older woman with a twinkle in her eye, had even allowed Nyla to shadow her a few times, witnessing the miracle of birth and the heartbreak of loss. Nyla knew it would be a long, arduous journey, requiring years of study and dedication. But the thought of alleviating suffering, of making a difference in the lives of animals, filled her with a quiet determination. It was a dream she held close, a private sanctuary from the pressures and expectations of high school life. It also whispered a question to her. How could she be a queen of homecoming while having such a drastically different career path. Britney's world had revolved around her mother, AJ. They were more than just mother and daughter. They were confidants, best friends, two halves of a whole. Their small, cozy home was filled with laughter, music, and the aroma of AJ's baking. AJ, a vibrant artist, had filled their lives with color, even when times were tough. She had a way of making the ordinary extraordinary, turning grocery shopping into an adventure, a rainy day into a cozy movie marathon. They had their rituals. Every Sunday morning, they'd make pancakes together, experimenting with different flavors and toppings. Every summer, they'd visit the local art fair, AJ pointing out the nuances of each piece, encouraging Britney's own artistic talents. And every night, before bed, AJ would read to Britney, even when Britney was well past the age of needing bedtime stories. Her voice, warm and melodic, was the soundtrack of Britney's childhood. One particular memory shimmered: a trip to the beach when Britney was 10. AJ had taught her how to build sandcastles, intricate structures that defied the relentless waves. "Life is like that, Brit," AJ had said, her eyes reflecting the vastness of the ocean. "The waves will keep coming, but you have to keep building, keep creating, keep finding the beauty even when things crumble." That lesson, etched in sand and memory, had become Britney's guiding principle. The diagnosis came like a thunderclap on a clear day: Stage 3 ovarian cancer. The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. The vibrant colors of Britney's world faded to gray. The following months were a blur of hospital visits, chemotherapy sessions, and whispered prayers. Britney watched her mother, her strong, indomitable mother, slowly weaken. The laughter disappeared, replaced by the hushed tones of doctors and the beeping of machines. The smell of baking was replaced by the sterile scent of antiseptic. Britney tried to be strong, to be the anchor her mother needed. She took on more responsibilities: cooking meals, cleaning the house, managing the endless stream of medical bills. But beneath the surface, she was terrified, a child lost in a nightmare she couldn't wake up from. There were moments of hope, brief remissions that sparked a flicker of optimism. But the cancer was relentless, a cruel tide that kept eroding AJ's strength. In the final weeks, AJ made Britney promise she wouldn't miss homecoming. "It's a milestone, Brit," she'd whispered, her voice raspy. "You deserve to have that experience. I'll be there with you, in spirit." John, Britney's father, had always been a quiet presence, a steady hand in the background. A carpenter by trade, he was a man of few words, his emotions hidden beneath a stoic exterior. But the illness transformed him. He became Britney's rock, her protector, his grief channeled into a fierce determination to care for his wife and daughter. He took on extra work, juggling his job with hospital visits and household chores. He learned to cook, clumsily at first, but with a growing confidence. He sat by AJ's bedside, holding her hand, whispering words of comfort, even when she was too weak to respond. After AJ's passing, John and Britney found solace in each other's company. They started a new ritual. Every evening, they'd sit on the porch, watching the sunset, sharing memories of AJ. John, a man who had always struggled to express his feelings, began to open up, revealing a depth of love and grief that Britney had never seen before. He talked about his own dreams, his passion for woodworking, his hopes for Britney's future. He spoke of his love for AJ with a tenderness that can break one's heart. The day after her mother's funeral, Britney woke up feeling numb. The world seemed to have lost its color, its vibrancy. The silence in the house was deafening, broken only by the occasional sob that escaped her lips. She went through the motions, attending school, doing her homework, but her heart wasn't in it. She felt like a ghost, drifting through life, detached from everything and everyone. But slowly, gradually, she began to heal. The support of her friends, the unwavering love of her father, and the memories of her mother helped her to find her footing again. She started to draw again, pouring her grief onto the page, creating images of beauty and sorrow. She started to talk about her mother, sharing stories with her friends, keeping her memory alive. Acceptance didn't mean forgetting. It meant learning to live with the pain, to carry the love and the loss with her, to find a way to move forward without leaving her mother behind. Attending homecoming, even without her mother, was a part of it. A huge, crucial, devastating part of it. Nyla and Britney weren't close friends, not in the way that implied sleepovers and shared secrets. They were more like friendly acquaintances, orbiting the same social circles, but never truly connecting. They'd shared a few classes, exchanged polite nods in the hallway, and occasionally partnered up for group projects. Nyla, with her inherent empathy, had always sensed a certain guardedness in Britney, a wall built around her heart. She'd noticed the subtle sadness in Britney's eyes, the way she sometimes seemed to retreat into herself. There was one particular incident that stood out in Nyla's memory. During a sophomore year biology class, they'd been dissecting frogs. Britney, usually so composed, had suddenly turned pale and rushed out of the room. Nyla had followed her, finding her in the bathroom, leaning against the sink, her face ashen. "Are you okay?" Nyla had asked, her voice filled with concern. Britney had just shaken her head, unable to speak. Nyla had stayed with her, offering a silent presence, a quiet understanding that transcended words. It was a small moment, but it created a subtle connection, a shared vulnerability that lingered between them. Nyla had heard whispers about Britney's mother's illness, snippets of conversations overheard in the hallways, hushed tones that spoke of tragedy and loss. She knew, on some intuitive level, that Britney was carrying a heavy burden. She'd wanted to reach out, to offer her support, but she hadn't known how. The unspoken grief seemed to create an invisible barrier, a wall that Nyla felt hesitant to breach. As Nyla stood on the football field, bathed in the glow of the stadium lights, she felt a surge of conflicting emotions. Excitement, yes, but also a nagging sense of unease. She scanned the crowd, her eyes searching for Britney. She saw her standing near the edge of the field, her father's arm around her, a picture of quiet strength and unspoken sorrow. In that moment, something shifted within Nyla. The excitement faded, replaced by a profound sense of empathy. She saw not a competitor, but a fellow human being grappling with unimaginable pain. The crown suddenly felt heavy, almost unbearable. It felt wrong. The whispers of her grandmother's words echoed in her mind. Every life has value. Even the smallest creatures deserve our compassion. And the unspoken message within those words, especially the smallest creatures. The simple act of placing the crown on Britney's head forged a bond between them, deeper and more profound than any friendship they might have had before. It wasn't just about the crown. It was about the shared understanding, the unspoken acknowledgement of pain and resilience. In the days and weeks that followed, they started talking, really talking. Britney shared her grief, her memories of her mother, her fears about the future. Nyla listened, offering a comforting presence, a shoulder to cry on, a friend who understood. They found solace in each other's company, a shared space where they could be vulnerable, where they could heal. They started spending time together, going for walks, watching movies, simply being present in each other's lives. The initial awkwardness faded, replaced by a genuine connection, a friendship born out of compassion and understanding. Their bond defied the usual high school social structures, a testament to the power of human connection in the face of adversity. Nyla's close-knit group of friends, while initially surprised by her decision, rallied around her, offering their unwavering support. They admired her selflessness, her courage, her ability to see beyond the superficiality of the homecoming crown. Her parents, too, were immensely proud, their hearts swelling with love and admiration for their daughter. Britney's friends, initially hesitant to intrude on her grief, found a renewed connection with her after the homecoming ceremony. They saw the spark of hope in her eyes, the glimmer of resilience that Nyla's act of kindness had ignited. Her father, deeply moved by Nyla's gesture, expressed his gratitude with a quiet sincerity that spoke volumes. He saw in Nyla the same compassion and strength that he had loved so much in his wife. The reaction within the school community was a mix of awe, admiration, and a subtle shift in perspective. The usual high school hierarchies, the focus on popularity and status, seemed to fade in importance. Nyla's act of kindness had a ripple effect, prompting others to reach out, to offer support, to see each other in a new light. The teachers, too, were deeply moved, using the story as a teachable moment, a reminder that true leadership lies not in winning, but in serving others. The football field, usually a battleground of athletic prowess, was transformed into a shimmering spectacle. Fairy lights twinkled, draped across the bleachers, and wound around the goalposts. The air buzzed with anticipation, a palpable energy that crackled like static electricity. The scent of freshly cut grass mingled with the sweet perfume of hundreds of corsages. The band played upbeat, albeit slightly off-key, renditions of popular songs. Cheerleaders, their smiles fixed and bright, performed routines that were more enthusiastic than synchronized. The crowd, a mix of students, parents, and alumni, roared with approval, their voices echoing across the field. But beneath the surface of the celebration, there was an undercurrent of tension. This wasn't just any homecoming. This was the homecoming, the one that would crown a queen. For the senior girls nominated, it was the culmination of years of striving, a moment of validation, a chance to shine. The nominees, lined up on the field, were a vision of youthful beauty, each dressed in their finest gowns, their hair and makeup meticulously done. They smiled, waved, and tried to project an air of confidence, but their eyes betrayed their nervousness. Each held a secret hope, a silent prayer for their name to be called. The announcer, a jovial man with a booming voice, stepped up to the microphone. The crowd hushed, holding its breath. He read out a list of accomplishments, accolades, and community service activities for each nominee. The tension was almost unbearable. And now, he announced, his voice rising to a crescendo, the moment you've all been waiting for. The 2023 Forest County Agricultural High Homecoming Queen is Nyla Covington. The crowd erupted in cheers. Confetti rained down from the sky, sparkling in the stadium lights. Nyla, momentarily stunned, broke into a wide, radiant smile. It was a dream come true, a moment she'd imagined 1,000 times. A sparkling tiara was placed on her head, its weight surprisingly substantial. She felt a surge of pride, of accomplishment, of belonging. She looked out at the cheering crowd, at her beaming parents, at her friends waving wildly from the stands. It was perfect. Almost. As the applause continued, Nyla's gaze drifted across the field. She saw Britney standing near the sidelines, her father's hand resting on her shoulder. Britney was smiling, a polite, almost forced smile, but her eyes held a depth of sadness that cut Nyla to the core. In that instant, all the joy, all the excitement drained away. The crown, which had felt so light just moments before, now felt heavy, a crushing weight on her head. It felt wrong. It felt like a betrayal. A whirlwind of thoughts and emotions raced through Nyla's mind. She remembered her grandmother's words, her mother's teachings, the wounded bird she'd rescued as a child. She thought of Britney's loss, her courage, her quiet strength. She thought of the promise Britney had made to her mother. The decision, when it came, wasn't a conscious one. It was an instinct, a deep-seated knowing, a surge of compassion that overwhelmed all other considerations. It was a moment of clarity, of profound understanding. She knew what she had to do. Without a word, without a second thought, Nyla reached up and gently removed the crown from her head. The cheering faltered, replaced by a confused murmur. The band stopped playing. The cheerleaders froze mid-routine. Nyla walked towards Britney, her steps measured and deliberate. The crowd watched in stunned silence, unsure of what was happening. The only sound was the rustle of Nyla's dress and the faint whisper of the wind. Britney looked up, her eyes widening in surprise as Nyla approached. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Nyla reached out and, with a gentle smile, placed the crown on Britney's head. It fit perfectly. Britney's eyes filled with tears, not tears of sadness, but tears of gratitude, of disbelief, of overwhelming emotion. Her father, his own eyes glistening, squeezed her shoulder, his silent support a powerful force. For a long moment, the entire stadium was silent, suspended in a state of collective awe. Then, slowly, tentatively, applause began to ripple through the crowd. It started as a gentle murmur, then grew in intensity, building to a crescendo of cheers, whistles, and shouts of appreciation. It was a sound unlike anything Nyla had ever heard, a sound that resonated with something deeper than mere approval. It was a sound of recognition, of understanding, of shared humanity. Britney, speechless, could only manage a whispered, "Thank you," her voice choked with emotion. The crown, now resting on her head, felt different. It wasn't a symbol of victory, but a symbol of love, of compassion, of shared humanity. Her father, his eyes shining with unshed tears, hugged her tightly, whispering, "Your mother would be so proud." The nominees, initially stunned, rushed to embrace both Nyla and Britney. The superficial competition of the evening dissolved, replaced by a genuine sense of camaraderie and respect. The teachers, their faces etched with emotion, nodded in approval, their hearts filled with pride for their students. The crowd, still buzzing with excitement, began to chant, "Nyla! Nyla! Britney! Britney!" It was a spontaneous outpouring of support, a recognition that something extraordinary had just happened. The story of Nyla's selfless act spread like wildfire. Within hours, it was all over social media. Videos of the moment, captured by countless smartphones, went viral. Hashtag Nyla and Britney became a trending topic, with people from all over the world sharing their thoughts and feelings about the story. The local newspaper ran a front-page article, hailing Nyla as a true queen and Britney as a symbol of strength and resilience. The school community rallied around the two girls, organizing fundraisers to help Britney's family with medical expenses and to support cancer research. The story transcended the small town of Forest County, reaching a national, and even international, audience. It was a reminder that even in a world often filled with negativity and division, acts of kindness and compassion can still shine brightly. The national media quickly picked up the story. News outlets from across the country contacted Nyla and Britney, requesting interviews. They were hesitant at first, overwhelmed by the sudden attention, but they realized that their story had the power to inspire others, to spread a message of hope and kindness. The culmination of the media frenzy was an invitation to appear on The Ellen DeGeneres Show. Nyla and Britney, accompanied by their fathers, flew to Los Angeles, their heads spinning with the surreal nature of their experience. The interview with Ellen was emotional and uplifting. Nyla, shy but articulate, spoke about her decision, emphasizing that it wasn't about giving up the crown, but about sharing it, about recognizing Britney's strength and resilience. Britney, her voice filled with gratitude, spoke about her mother's legacy, her own journey through grief, and the profound impact of Nyla's act of kindness. Ellen, deeply moved by their story, surprised them with a donation of $10,000 each to help them pursue their dreams. The audience erupted in applause, tears streaming down many faces. The story didn't end with The Ellen Show. Back in Forest County, a wave of kindness swept through the community. Inspired by Nyla and Britney, students started volunteering at local charities, organizing fundraisers for various causes, and simply reaching out to those in need. A classmate struggling with depression found unexpected support from peers. A lonely elderly neighbor received regular visits from students. Small acts of generosity, inspired by one extraordinary moment, rippled outwards, creating a more compassionate and caring community. For Nyla, the experience solidified her desire to become a veterinarian. She saw the power of compassion, not just in human relationships, but in all aspects of life. She continued to excel in her studies, driven by a deep-seated commitment to making a difference in the world. For Britney, the experience was transformative. It didn't erase her grief, but it gave her a renewed sense of purpose. She continued to pursue her artistic talents, channeling her emotions into her work, creating pieces that were both beautiful and poignant. She also became an advocate for cancer awareness, sharing her story and raising funds for research. Nyla and Britney remain close friends, their bond forged in a moment of shared humanity. They supported each other through the ups and downs of life, their friendship a testament to the power of compassion and understanding. Their story became a legend, a reminder that true royalty lies not in a crown, but in the heart. The story of Nyla and Britney is more than just a heartwarming tale of high school homecoming. It's a parable about the true meaning of beauty, a reminder that it's not about outward appearance, but about inner strength, compassion, and the willingness to put others before oneself. It's a story about the power of empathy, the ability to see beyond our own experiences and to connect with the pain and suffering of others. It's a story about the ripple effect of kindness, how one small act can inspire countless others, creating a wave of positive change. It's a story about the enduring power of love, how it can transcend even the greatest loss, how it can bind us together in moments of shared humanity. And it's about the importance of remembering. Years later, Nyla and Britney returned to Forest County Agricultural High for their 10-year reunion. Nyla, a successful veterinarian, had opened her own practice, fulfilling her childhood dream. Britney, a renowned artist, had exhibited her work in galleries around the world, her art a powerful testament to her resilience and creativity. They stood together on the football field, the scene of that unforgettable homecoming night. The memories flooded back, the cheers, the tears, the shared moment of profound connection. They were no longer teenagers, but the bond between them remained as strong as ever. They looked out at the crowd, a new generation of students, their faces filled with hope and anticipation. They saw in them the same potential for kindness, for compassion, for making a difference in the world. The true queens are never truly crowned. Or perhaps true queens recognize the crowns in one another. The act completed by Nyla was more than altruism. It was a primal recognition. Britney never forgot it. And you, reading this, won't either. Will you? What small act will ripple from your heart?